This is the Galaxy One from Emake3D, a resin-based 3D printer that's made nearly $1 million on Kickstarter at time of filming. Let's go over why I have it, what it is, what I've done with it, and what I think about it. Emake3D first reached out about this machine via the Kickstarter they were trying to promote. I thought the machine looked interesting because it ticked a lot of those boxes that a lot of us find interesting. Large format, automatic resin refilling, and frickin' lasers. About that build volume, it's 400 on X, 200 on Y, and 400 on Z or Z. It's huge. If you find yourself backing this on Kickstarter, you're gonna need yourself a lot of room. For automatic resin refilling, it's an interesting system. 2 resin bottles can be stored on the inside, and 1 at a time can be hooked up to this automated resin refilling system. And there's a little sensor on the outside of the build plate that tells it when to refill with resin. When I got my machine, it wasn't configured quite right because it filled the resin nearly to the top of the vat, which made me slightly uncomfortable. I posted in the launch Facebook group for this machine, and Emake themselves responded with the video of an engineer explaining the process on how you can manually adjust the sensor to suit the resin refill level that you want. I thought that was amazing. This group is actually really good. I'll put a link in the description. A lot of really informative posts and people asking questions, and I'm one of the ones with the machine so I can answer them. And Emake in there is really active, and it's really nice to see. So the Galaxy One is an SLA 3D printer, not MSLA, not DLP. It is truly SLA, so it uses frickin' lasers. Typically in an SLA 3D printer, at least historically, a galvanometer has been used. It's where a mirror system rotates back and forth to kind of align the laser and shoot it against the vat and cure resin. The Galaxy One isn't using a galvanometer. They're using something different. A linear laser scanning technology equipped with flywheel generators to control the laser. Inside the machine, there is this laser module that rides on a lead screw, putting it up and down on the x-axis, and then this flywheel generator has some sort of mirror on it to direct the laser to different parts of the vat. That's how it works. It's not a galvanometer, but it's still a mirror directing a laser to a vat of goo. As far as prints go, on this machine, I've done a few of them. And first up was a test print on the SD card. It was this little guy, a little dinosaur in an egg. Actually, 2 of them. Super quick prints. Again, these were sliced by Emake and included on the SD card. They came out really well. I think they're cute. These are cute little prints. I did leave the supports on the other one because I just wanted an example to be able to show people what it's like with and without the supports. Support removal was okay on these models, and I quite like it. They're neat little dinosaurs in eggs. So next up was this print, and this is just a big dragon. It actually came with a tail. This was pre-sliced by Emake and included on the SD card. Massive print, and it took much longer than a day to print this. The details are there, but you can tell with the geometry that it looks like it was a smaller model that was scaled up. That's the only way I can kind of describe it. Obviously, I'll get some footage of it much closer so you can kind of tell. Emake, you didn't include the wings. It's a wingless dragon. I was also able to print Chainsaw Man. Modeled by Fotis Mint and pre-supported by the legendary pre-support artist Charo Zuck. It printed amazing on this machine. The fine details really came out. I was really happy with how easily the supports fell off. This was sliced in Chitu box. One of the things that you'll know when slicing something in Chitu box for this machine, there are absolutely 0 options for you to adjust, except for I think it's the layer height, something like that. But really, Chitu box is doing it's just creating the pictures. It's really not doing any sort of other settings for this. I think everything's controlled by the machine. It was sliced in Chitu box, and it did come out really good. And I really like this model. And this is one of those things when I would love to see this like full size, like a statue in someone's yard. I think that would be freaking great. Now we get into a part where there was a little bit of trouble. This is the Millennial Falcon. Yes, I'm saying millennial because Andrew Askedall, the person that modeled this, called it the Millennial Falcon. I know it's not called the Millennial Falcon in the movies and the books and the shows and the whatever, but go with me here. This is the Millennial Falcon, that's what I'm gonna say. And it has these crazy Z-banding issues. This was the first print that I did that was multi-day. I think it was more than 63 hours that this print took, and there were these crazy Z-banding issues. The details on the model, all agreeables, they look great, but there's a Z-banding issue. So I posted this to that launch Facebook group for this machine, and Emake responded asking if they could get the files for this. So I sent it to them. They did tests themselves, and they had this machine and 2 other machines printing this model, all with different temperature settings on the included chamber heater. And they found that 28°C, which is the default temperature that mine and others comes with as far as heating the chamber to, that's too hot, and it creates these Z-banding issues. So if you set it to 25°C, or if you just let it sit at ambient, you're not going to get those. And I thought, well, that was really interesting. Oh, and from Emake, they did post in this Facebook group that they will redesign the heater port in the back, and backers will receive updated machines. So it was up to me to print this again because I wanted to verify their findings, and I want to get this off the build plate, but I want to finish recording here. So via the magic of television, you're going to get to see this come off the build plate right now. Look at that. Yeah, look at that. I don't want to drop it. Look at that. Oh, geez. That's so freaking huge. Look at this. Wow. And now what I have is one of these cheap fluid pumps that you can get most places. I just jam it kind of right there. I turn it on, and out comes isopropyl alcohol. And so now what I can do is wash the model. Now let's get these supports off. Apparently I forgot to hit record when I removed all of these supports, and I'm really sorry about that. Now that the supports are off and it's all washed up, have a look. This is the Millennial Falcon as it should be, without those Z-banding issues and with all of those crunchy little details out in the open, ready for you to enjoy. Andrew, you did an amazing job with this model, and I'm so thankful I was able to print this. This is a free model. You can download this, and I'll put a link in the description. When you print it, make sure you tag me, because I'm going to want to see it. I have a few questions for Emake, and I'm hoping they see this and are able to respond. They list a 25 micrometer resolution on X and Y. That's what they've advertised for this machine. But they also say that the laser light spot, the laser itself, is 80 micrometers wide. So how can this machine have a 25 micrometer X and Y resolution when the laser spot itself is more than 3 times that size? Maybe I don't understand how resolution works when describing it in an SLA machine. I'm more than willing to be wrong. I love learning about stuff, but if I'm right, then something doesn't add up there. What is permanent leveling? They say the build plate is preset when you get it, and I didn't have to adjust anything when I installed this machine. I put it up here, I set it to go, I hit print, everything was fine. But permanent leveling, I don't know exactly what that means, because there's going to be times when you do have to adjust it. Are you able to? Or are there settings on the screen that allow you to adjust it? I would like more description around what permanent leveling means. This button, what does it do? I've got zero documentation on this machine. I haven't seen it referenced what this button does. It's a big, shiny, candy-like button.
Don't touch it! It's the history eraser button, you fool!
So in conclusion, with my experience, this machine prints well. It's really not that loud. It's friggin' huge, and you're gonna have to find some space if you back this machine. I do have it set up in my garage, but quite honestly, the smells are really not noticeable. If you have this machine, you're going to go through resin like crazy. You're also going to need to find a way to wash massive prints properly with isopropyl alcohol. If you're not buying their just announced cure machine, then you're gonna have to find a way to cure your large prints as well. This concludes my time with the Emake Galaxy 1 3D printer. A big thanks to Emake for letting me borrow it. I did have a lot of fun with it, and I'm really thankful I was able to show you some things about this machine. But now we're gonna find a new home for it, and I will work with Emake to make that possible. I know my friends Uncle Jesse and Akuma Mods have theirs now, and they're gonna be doing some rad prints with those, so be sure to stay tuned to their posts. That's the end of my notes. Really thankful to have you along for this journey, and again, thanks to Emake for making this possible. If you made it this far, you're awesome. Don't forget to hug each other more, fight for a cause you believe in, resin print all the things, and as always, high five.